Have you ever been misunderstood? Of course you have. Whether we use words or body language, all of us communicate constantly and everywhere. Sometimes misunderstandings happen, and this becomes frustrating, which may then lead to arguments. Most of us are capable of explaining ourselves through words to fix or avoid the conflicts we encounter. Unfortunately, this is not the case for everyone. People with communication disabilities have difficulty expressing themselves verbally, which makes it difficult for most of us to understand and connect with them. I know this because I have a non-verbal autistic sister, and growing up with her was not the easiest thing in the world. Every day was like a guessing game where we would almost usually lose. She would miscommunicate her wants and needs, and in turn, we'd misunderstand her. Deciphering what she's trying to say was always time-consuming and mostly inaccurate. This was not only frustrating for us, but even more so for her because no one could understand her. Leia was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and apraxia of speech at the age of 3, when my parents noticed she was different. Their 4 older children were very talkative at this age, but Leia wasn't. She was relatively quiet and hadn't uttered any significant words. Autism spectrum disorder is a complex developmental condition which involves persistent challenges in social interaction, speech and nonverbal communication, and restricted or repetitive behaviors. Apraxia of speech, on the other hand, is a neurological disorder that affects the brain pathways involved in planning the sequence of movements involved in producing speech. The brain knows what it wants to say, but cannot properly plan and sequence the required speech sound movements. As Leia was diagnosed with both of these, she understandably had trouble communicating with us. At first, she would be pointing at things she wanted to play with or eat. This was difficult as sometimes she would be pointing at different directions, like to the kitchen, and we'd have to guess what was in the kitchen she wanted. Or she'd point outside, indicating that it has to be bought, so we'd have to guess which store and what thing she wanted to buy. Or sometimes she'd just point at thin air and try to articulate the words as best as she can, and we'd be stumped. Though she had difficulty articulating words, she was not completely nonverbal. With therapy, Leia was able to learn how to speak, one word at a time. She can't speak in full sentences, but at least one word helps with the deciphering process. Not every single word can be learned at once, so Leia kept learning little by little as she grew. She gets exposed to new things that she either doesn't know the word for or doesn't know how to say it. So this was a new challenge for us, deciphering her new interests. Luckily, Leia has a natural affinity for technology. She played computer games a lot. She even memorized every single answer to every game on Encarta Kids. One day, she typed something on Google and went to images. She dragged me to the computer and pointed to the image of a biscuit. It was fita. She had memorized what she saw on the wrapping and searched it on Google. It was genius. Soon after, she'd use YouTube to search for advertisements and then pause it to a specific flavor of pretzel she wanted and then show it to us. One time, we didn't have an internet connection, so there was no way for her to use Google or YouTube. You know what she did? She wrote what she wanted on a piece of paper and handed it to us. She was constantly coming up with different ways to get her message across, different ways for us to understand her. Despite her disability, she still found ways to overcome it. And we realized that not everyone can be as capable as Leia. So when we got assigned a school project to come up with an app to ease a pain point or struggle in our daily lives, my mom pointed my attention towards Leia and how she came up with the idea for Pic-A-Talk. What started off as a school project turned into a startup. We developed an application that lets these kids communicate through pictures and learn at the same time, and it was all because of Leia's perseverance. Because that's the thing about these kids. They're just like the rest of us. We're all learning and evolving, and the only difference is the obstacles we have to face along the way. We just need help in overcoming these obstacles. Like nonverbal autistic kids, by giving them a voice, we give them a chance at a quality life. And with Pic-A-Talk, they can now speak with pics. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode about the story of Pic-A-Talk. We thought it would be best to share to you the story of what started this all. If you have a personal story you'd like to share, you can reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or email us at hq@pic.talk.com. a-talk.com, and we'll feature your story on the podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. We post new episodes every Wednesday, so stay tuned. Bye!